Hello, can anyone hear me? There we are. Okay, it was like glitchy for me. Can you guys see me? I have to have two video screens up because one is not in real time. So I have to set up my chat over here. All right, there we are. Can you guys hear me okay? Hi. Hey, Crystal. Hi, Connie. Hi, Candy. It's late for you, Candy, isn't it? Um, all right, awesome. Hey, Bruce. All right. Yeah, you know what? I'm sure me and Josh will work together again soon, and if we do, we'll do something like this. It'll be really fun, actually. Move my candles here. All right. Yep. So here we are tonight, Saturday night. It's probably late for some of you. It's probably not so late for some of you. Actually, it's probably late for all of you. It's 9 p.m. here. Is anybody here earlier than 9 p.m.? 2 p.m. Sunday. Oh, yeah, I didn't think this is worldwide, right? So 2 p.m. in Australia. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So tonight, basically, it's only the second live stream that we've done, or that I've done, or you guys done with me. So tonight we'll be trying out the DR60 a little bit, and again, there could be a lot of new people here. So just to clarify again, tonight is not the group session. Sorry if it was a little confusing. Patreon it's kind of weird when you first join it. When I first started it, it was really hard for me to figure out, or not hard, it just took some time. So tonight is not group night. That's Wednesday. Tonight is just kind of a hangout, a chat, a Q&A. You could ask me any questions, and then we'll try some EVPs. I know last week the EVPs were very quiet, and I didn't really get to make out anything. And before I went live, I just asked if there were any spirits here, and we'll play that back. There was a reply, and it almost sounds like yes, there are, but it's still kind of quiet. Are there any spirits here tonight that would like to speak? I don't know how well you guys can hear. Are there any spirits here tonight that would like to speak? Yes, there are something. So, who knows if we'll pick up anything, but we'll see. Also, last week we had a problem when I was recording with this. There was a bunch of static. So let me know if you guys are hearing static on your end at any time. All right. So if anybody has any questions, fire away about anything. I actually have a coffee here because I'm kind of tired. Had a long day. So who has any questions? Anybody? I'm just reading the chat. Hey, Crystal, I actually have not done any spirit work all day. That was the only thing I did today, and that was like a minute before I pushed the broadcast. So that's all I've done. I haven't turned on a box or anything all day and most of yesterday. All right, great. No static. Do you hear animals? I don't hear animals, but I've picked up messages through the boxes that verified animals. And there was I think the first time I did was 5 or 6 years ago, and it was an EVP on a different kind of recorder that I used to use. And I picked up some dog barking that wasn't there. But they mentioned animals in some of the Wonderbox sessions I've done, and they said the animals are there. I've talked about this one before, but in one of the best of 2017 videos, I asked about my dog Scrubby. They say he's there, and then you hear him bark, which I thought was pretty amazing. Do spirits sense when we think of them? I think so. I can't answer that with a definite answer, but if I sit down to do a communication session, if I don't focus on the spirits, or if I let my mind wander, they're not there. So if I do focus on them, I think they can sense that. and it kind of hones them in. I'm not exactly sure yet what hones them in, but I do know it takes a lot of focus, and the meditations help, and the concentrations and all of that kind of stuff. Spirit guides, have they said who is your guide? The only thing, Crystal, that they've said before tonight, they keep mentioning Scott, and Bert has been back the last yesterday or day before yesterday. They mentioned Bert again. So they're not really saying they're guides, they're saying they're helping me. So could be one and the same. As far as this communication, I've had several. Ava, Lillian, Ava, Billy stuck around for a long time. There was an Ace for about 2 weeks. They come and go. And there was a video I did not too long ago where they said something about a new team. So there was another one I did a few days ago that I haven't published that they were talking about. They said they were working on changing things. So I don't really know what that means, but Scott has been coming through for me. Bert has been coming through for me. And I think they change all the time as far as for this. But I do think that we all have a long-term guide that sticks with us throughout most of our life. I don't want to miss any question. Can one spirit be at two different places at the same time? I don't know. I have not seen evidence of that. Can't rule it out. I know I've done sessions with people. One time, maybe 6 years ago, we did a worldwide experiment. So it was me and maybe 50 other people, and we all ran our boxes at the same time. So we synchronized, we ran them at the same time, and to see if we would get the same spirit or comparable messages. And I think some of us got the same spirit, but it wasn't at the same exact time. So what spirits have told me is that they can transcend time and space, so there's no limitations. So imagine if you're a spirit and you can go back to any time. That's what it sounded like to me. Like you can go back in time, forward in time, which is really strange to comprehend. But they have mentioned that. Is that true? I can't say for sure. But it's fascinating if that's the case. Like if I was in spirit form, I'd be traveling around looking at different times if I could. Lady Nocturne, if people are spiritual, meditate, and engaged in occult stuff in their lifetime, are they stronger spirits in the afterlife? I would think so, because at that Bel Air house, that spirit Ed is so strong. He is crazy strong. And when he followed me 2 or 3 times, he's not here anymore. But when he was here, I mean, the communication was amazingly solid. So say I turn on a Wonder Box and Ed is here, almost 100% of what comes through will be spirit. Ed not here, maybe 80%. So I do think that, and Ed, his whole life did seances and was involved in the occult. So I think people like that. And when Joe of the Joe's Box passed away, I did a session and I captured his exact voice on one of his boxes. And he was telling me to what number box to buy if I was going to buy another one, because he knew which one was the good one was. So it sounds like if you do this and you're on the other side, maybe it would be easier for you to come through. LS Baker, I no longer own the SLS. I actually got rid of it years ago after I found out you could easily trick it into showing a stick figure. If you move it a certain way or on a certain kind of pattern or object, it would show up with a stick figure and you could repeat it. So to me, it wasn't reliable and I didn't like that. So I sold it. And as cool as it was when I first got it and I used it in the cemetery, now I don't know if those were just glitches. So I didn't want to keep using it if it wasn't going to be accurate. But if I did have it, I would set it up during group night or something. Maybe I'll actually make my own SLS. I think those are better. Like Keith Weldon from Chill Seekers has one that he made, and it's so much better than the handheld one that's sold. So maybe I'll make one of my own and have it set up for group nights. That could be pretty cool. Because if it's on a tripod, there's no tricking it, right? How are spirit guides chosen? What is the best way to connect to your guide? Any thoughts on the cycle of rebirth or being reborn? What way do they prefer to communicate? Spirit guides, that's a tricky one. Now, when I'd say 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I watched a video on YouTube, and it was a woman talking about how to connect with your spirit guide. And basically, it was kind of a meditation, and she guided you through this meditation where you would meet your spirit guide. And I followed her instructions to a T. And lo and behold, I got the name Lillian. And my very first sessions, I would start getting the name Lillian coming through the boxes. So I think that the spirit guides, we all have a spirit guide, I think. That's my opinion after doing this work. So if we meditate on that, I think the best way, I mean, I could go on and tell you what I did, but it might take 20, 30 minutes and I don't want to waste the time. But if you go to YouTube and type in how to connect with your spirit guide, there might be some bad videos there, but there might be some good ones. It's all about the meditation. And then that's how I did it. And then after that, they all would come through my devices telling me who they were. But then again, can you trust? A lot of people don't trust what comes through the box. In the past, I didn't. But things have changed a lot with me. So it's quite a bit different, a different dynamic. So yeah, it's hard to say, but everyone has a spirit guide, and everyone can connect to them. Cycle of being reborn, if you mean reincarnation, they have mentioned it. And from my understanding of these messages, I believe that not everyone is reincarnated, but some of us may be, if we have more learning for our soul to do, because what they are saying, and if the messages have said over the years, is we're on this earth as a learning experience for our soul. It's for our soul to grow. So if we're good people and we learn and we help and we're kind and live a good life here, that's part of our soul elevation. So if every time our soul learns and we elevate it, we go one step higher in the afterlife. Because from what I understand, there's several levels. There's several levels of heaven. There's levels of hell. There's a purgatory. So this is all going by them, what they say, and the research. It's not just my opinion that I'm throwing out there. I go by the evidence only, and I don't go by what I read because I don't want to taint my own mind. I want to just go by the evidence. So when you hear me say stuff, it's not me saying, oh, I know this to be fact. It's what I've learned through doing the research. Okay, I don't want to miss any of these questions. What kind of places are the spirits in? That's a good question. I like to say that most people who use spirit boxes, so say someone goes out and buys a PSB-7, turns it on, and they start getting replies to questions, which people do all over the world. I'd say 90 to 95% of those spirits are in a purgatory. They've described it to me as a gray place. Many of them are in a sleep or haze state, but they can be awoken. That's why you might hear messages sometimes about sleep or being awoken or things of that nature. And it sounds just kind of like a waiting area. Where they wait to move on to see where their soul's going to go, if they're going to come back and be reincarnated because their soul has to learn more, etc. It's very interesting because these sessions to me have validated a purgatory. They validated hell, and they validated some kind of heaven. And though heaven may not be what we envision it, from what I understand from the spirits, it's like just a place of pure love, the source of love, which is what we're supposed to really be about. God is love, right? And God is within us all. Many of us don't. I never used to realize that. And now I do. If a family spends their life protecting something, do they continue after life? I'm thinking of, do you mean protecting your family or protecting an object? That I really don't know. I don't think that once spirits move on, I don't think, well, that's not true. Because, you know, you can go to a location like houses that are famous for being haunted, and the same spirits will be there. So yeah, I would say that's probably right. Spirits can be attached if that's what you're asking. Maybe they get attached to an object, a house, a person, even. I always like to say people are haunted more than houses. And, you see all these TV shows going to these same locations over and over. But I see evidence of people being haunted more than locations, because with me, if I have a regular spirit around me, like it used to be Billy, no matter where I would go in the country, if I would do an EVP or session, Billy would be there because he was stuck with me. So yeah, it's hard to say. Hard to say. We don't have any cut and dry yes or no answers to really any of this. And while we have a general idea, especially compared to 20, 30 years ago, we still don't have those definite, crystal clear answers. And maybe one day we will, maybe one day, maybe we won't. Do spirits fly? Now, that's an interesting question. I always envision them as, when I see them lately in my group sessions, when they show me things, they're showing me things physically, like what they used to look like or what they used to do. But the way they describe how they are, it's conflicting. They've told me they're energy. So what kind of energy is that? It's an energy that can somehow attach to us, manipulate audio, manipulate water for images. So what kind of energy is that? It's kind of crazy to think about. Can they travel, say, from me to Josh in a matter of 2 seconds? I think they can. I think it's instantaneously. I think it's the thought process and you bring them there instantly. But again, it's hard to say. A lot of people believe in orbs. Now, I think 99% of orbs are dust, because I'm a photographer and I've captured so many dust orbs in my life, and it's easy to replicate. But at the same time, when I first started doing this, I would capture colored orbs and they would fly in a pattern and there was no light source. And I don't catch those anymore, and I don't know why. But it's an interesting thing. If spirits are orbs and you capture them flying, then in a way they would fly. But if those aren't spirits, then it's hard to say. But from my experience, they can, usually if I turn on the box and I'm not getting anything, I'll say, is anyone here? And a lot of times they'll say they're coming. And within about 5 minutes, so it might not be instant, but it's pretty quick, the spirits start coming in. Lady Nocturne. Oh, if you didn't watch the Bel Air House video, there's 2 of them. And then there's a validation file, so there's 3. They're really, really good. And Candy was there, so she was there with me. Here we go. I don't want to miss question, guys. So let me see here. Oh yeah, I'm missing here. Okay. Hey, John, good to see you here. Thanks for stopping in. Crystal, did I see the Ghost Adventures? Nope, I stopped watching Ghost Adventures maybe 7 years ago. And I have my reasons, and I'm not going to talk about it. Gina, if a person died angry, like on a rampage, and arguing when they die, are they still angry and upset? You hear that a lot, that now, if you're meaning at the moment of death, they were angry, but normally not angry, then I don't think they would be angry in the afterlife. But if a person lives their life angry, negative, bitter, I think in the afterlife, that energy they created is going to be negative, bitter, and angry. But if it was just like during their death, they were angry, I don't think that would stick with them. It would take, it would be more like the whole of their life. If they were a kind, nice person in life, in the afterlife, they might be shocked that they're dead. A lot of spirits are shocked when they die and they don't realize they're dead, or they're scared. That's a lot of times why I think I feel and sense the fear in them. And they even say sometimes that they're scared. It's because a lot of them don't realize where they are or what's happening, which is kind of a scary thought, actually. But Sunshine Babies. Maybe we'll get a validation on Wednesday for that. Wednesday is group night. So that's when we're going to do the meditations. Everybody who wants to participate will meditate on Wednesday. I'll record that session, and hopefully we can keep the the validations coming. I'm excited about this one because I have the new box. I'm going to do the photos and try a couple things. So it should be fun. I'm also going to try the music method for group night because that worked out so well. Let's see. Are we given a heavenly name? Not in my experience. A lot of spirits, it's interesting. Some will not remember details of their life. Some remember only specific memories, and some remember their full name, and some only remember their first name. And when I first started, I used to get a lot of them. When I'd ask a question about their life, they would say, I don't remember. So that's also kind of weird, you know, but a lot of them do remember. And so some have better memories than others. And I think that could be the energy they have. Again, it's hard to say, but I've not seen any evidence of getting a new name. There might not be names at all, actually. Okay, I knew a man who died for 12 minutes and went to hell and said God pulled him out after he cried to him. He died again in 2013. Well, that's interesting. Gina, if God forgives, why doesn't he forgive Lucifer? So the world could be better and they could do away with hell. That's you know, I don't know that deep of an answer for you, but that is a very good question. You know, God does forgive, but also at the same time, there is a hell. I've recorded evidence of it. So there are souls that go to hell. So if God forgave everybody, then nobody would be in hell. But since there is a hell, so maybe not everybody is forgiven to the point where they are not punished. And Satan, or Lucifer, being the evilest of them all, you know, I don't know. It's very interesting, though, to think about. You can start thinking really deep. They protected the house from evil. I see. My family were live-in managers of the Winchester House for 36 years. Wow, that's a beautiful house. I've been there a few times. Wow, your family were live-in managers. That's amazing. Amazing. They could still be there. That's the thing. You know, I wish it would be so cool to go there with you and try to see. That would be amazing, because if they were there, they would come through for sure. Do you think falling and shooting stars are souls? I don't, but that doesn't mean I'm right. But I don't think so. Blue Lady, Jackie, tonight's not group night. We're not doing a session tonight. Tonight's just a Q&A hangout, and I'll do some DR60 near the end. Wednesday, this coming Wednesday is group night. So that's when you're going to want to do the meditation and focus on your family members, and we'll hopefully we'll get a validation. That would be beautiful. Crystal, I'd have to look at that video again. It's hard to say. And even if I, you know, the orb thing, even if it's the ones that I saw and suspected were real, they were red, blue, purple, white, but they were shaped a little differently. They moved differently. And there was an old video of mine that I can't explain, where I was playing guitar and this little thing that looked like it had little wings was just like flying around me as I was playing music. And somebody else sent me a video with that same shape of whatever it is, a spirit, a soul. It's not an insect. It was translucent, and it was flowing so softly around me. The video's on my YouTube, but it's from years and years ago. But the actual person who sent me a video was from that Angry Grandpa channel on YouTube. I did a session for them, and they sent me a video at the park where they were playing with the kids, and one of those things with the wings was flying around, and they asked me if I thought it was their, you know, the father. And I said, it could be if he's still there watching over you guys. It's hard to say. Philip Porter, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Wednesday, it's going to be at, did I say 10 p.m. my time on Wednesday night, or 9 p.m.? I'm going to post on Monday. Monday, go to the Patreon. This is for Sunshine Babies. And I will post a video on Monday with meditation instructions, exactly how everything works. And just be sure to check on Monday, and everybody can see that, that post. Crystal, explain how you feel spirits enter and exit. Do you feel everyone has this happen on a regular basis? Do you think that you possibly feel this now? Okay, Crystal, that's a good question. I used to, from the get-go, I would feel spirit. Now, it's different when they're just around you from when they're actually going in you. Now, a lot of you may have experienced feeling them or having them go in you, but I'm going to describe how it feels for me. When a spirit is around me, or if I sit here and close my eyes right now, and I'm just quiet and I envision the spirits coming in, I will start to feel them, and I can feel if there's one. Actually, I feel one right now, right over here. I can feel if there's one or if there's a ton of them. Now, that feels more like a mild electric feeling, not like static electricity, more like a something a little sharper. But it's not painful. There's no discomfort. It's actually kind of good feeling. When a spirit goes in me, it almost feels like there's something pulsating within me, and something it almost feels like at times when they come out, I almost get the sensation that my soul is exiting my body. And a couple of times it really made me nervous until I realized what was happening. And now it happens and it doesn't bother me at all. And there's no issues, but it's more like a whoo, 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 and you can feel it. And then your whole body, head to toe, just feels electric times 10 from when they're around you. It's unmistakable, undeniable. And I remember one time I was on the Queen Mary, and I did a Halloween event a long time ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. And I was with a group of 5 in one of the dressing rooms by the pool, I think it was. And so one person had a Mel meter or REM meter or something. And so I was feeling the spirits all around. So I asked the spirits one by one if they could touch each person. So the first person, she felt it. The second person, he felt it. Third person felt it. And when I said go into the last person, the guy that was holding the meter, he felt it and his meter started blaring. It was actually quite amazing. So yeah, it's an interesting feeling. And the stronger ones where they're going in, I just started feeling recently. So for your question, Crystal, it could be because the deeper connection, I'm more open, no fear at all. So and you can also sense good and bad. There's times when negative will try to sneak in and I can sense it and feel it. And then there's other energy that just feels like pure love energy and it's really good. And then the other one is not good. So I kind of know when the turn of device is off and tell them to leave and do a little cleansing and prayer. So yeah, it's interesting now that I can sense good, bad. I can sense touch and going in. It's part of the connection. It has to be. Let me keep going here. If you have Alzheimer's in this life, I don't think so. I don't think if you have Alzheimer's in this life and go on to the spirit realm that you do, because when you go to the spirit realm, that Alzheimer's is created by the physical limitations of your body. Your brain and everything that goes along with Alzheimer's is part of your body. It's not part of your soul. So when your soul leaves, you should be free of any ailments that were with your physical body. And that's why we leave our body, because our bodies can't last forever. They kind of break down over time and we get older and they're just not a good vessel for us anymore. And that's by design. So that's my opinion. I don't think so. But that's a good question. Maybe I'll ask that in a session actually, and hopefully they'll answer. They don't answer every question though. So I could ask 20 questions and maybe I'll get answers to 8. Yeah. Hell is where they are happy. I don't know. I never heard that. I just hear that they're miserable when they're coming from the deeper realms is what my experience is. I have many videos where they're telling me how miserable they are. And I think there's one, they're talking about hell. But hey, if a person had an abortion, do they go to hell? I wouldn't think so, Gina. I've not seen evidence of that. A lot of these things that we hear have been made up by man as trying to be rulers of law and to make people behave. A lot of these things are not from God or the spiritual realms. They're made up by man. So Even like church, you don't have to go to church to be able to get into heaven. Church is not a thing you have to go to. As long as you're spiritual, you believe in a God, and I don't even think you really have to believe. But believe in a God, you're a good person. I think you're going to go to a good place. Sunshine babies. Okay, Lucifer does not want the forgiveness. You're correct, right there, right? John Doss, do you feel that when you envision those things that you are through telepathy, inviting them to do what you are seeing? That's a good question. Because I'll be honest, 10 years ago, I didn't believe in mediums. I still don't believe in psychics in the sense that you can go to a psychic and the psychic's going to tell you, okay, here's your future. This is going to happen. I've never seen evidence of that, but in the last 10 years, I've seen evidence of mediums being accurate when they connect with the dead. So I believe a medium can connect with the dead now, but I didn't used to. So when it started happening with me, where I would see these and I would just think, oh, you're crazy. You're just imagining it because you want to see something. And then they started, a lot of times they would validate it through the box, just like the video I posted, was that today or yesterday? Anyway, I posted a video about the large guy smoking, and he started talking about how he leaves his jeans open, which means he's too big. So he leaves them open to be comfortable. He wanted me to bring him something yummy. So are they saying that because I'm envisioning it? I mean, hey, it could be, but I don't like to think that that's the case because they're going out of their way to show me these things. And this used to never happen really. So now that it is, and they're mentioning intuition lately too. So use your intuition or be our intuition, whatever that recent message was. Josh is talking a lot about that too. So I think they want us to use that intuition because they can connect. And even when they come through the boxes, I believe they're using us as well. They're using us, they're using the device, and they're using the energy. So I think they need to use us for the communication. So there you go. Have you seen a demon? I saw something horrific in one of the worst attack I've had, which was probably 2 years ago now. And Debbie witnessed it and scared her to death. We were right outside. I have 2 doors here from this room, goes out into my living room, and we were on the couch watching TV. Didn't do a session that day. Wasn't even thinking about it. We were watching a comedy. And the next thing you know, I mean, I have the video on it, but basically I just had this thing hit me like a ton of bricks. My head went back, my eyes closed, and I saw this hole in space with these translucent ghost type figures flying around the circle. And out of this circle, 3 horrific things come at me. They're ripping open my belly, choking me. One's in my face, like horns, all kinds of crazy stuff that you would think is like some Fantasyland TV show or something. And my eyes were closed the whole time. I guess, Debbie was freaking out. Tears were coming out of my eyes and I was choking. And I remember when they were telling me to stop crossing spirits over or something to that nature, I was praying for Jesus. I'm like, Jesus, help me. Jesus, help me. And as I was doing that, the blackness just turned and I was able to see because I guess my eyes were open, but everything was black. So when I started praying to Jesus, that blackness, it was like a curtain and it just kind of went to the side. And I looked at Debbie, I had tears in my eyes and I just said, they're gone. And she's like, who's gone? And I described it to her. It was frightening. It was very frightening. So were they demons? Maybe. I've had them come through the box saying they're demons, not in a long time now, but it's scary. And that's why these days I tell people, I actually don't recommend people get into this because if you fear it, if I was always afraid, my life would be a living hell because I'd always be worried about it, right? And I think they feed off that fear. You've heard that, I'm sure. So never fear it if you do this because fear is the worst enemy of us. Like there's nothing to fear but fear itself. You've heard that term. That is very true. So if anybody does this, be careful. Don't fear it. Me, I'm kind of in deep and have been. So, whew, can they become a demon? I'm not sure on that. Do you think if a spirit is malevolent, they can become a demon? I'm not really sure how that happens. All right, let me go back down here. I think I went up too high. Crystal, yeah, if you get those tingling sensations on your legs, and it's kind of like it's just there, right? So here's an experiment for everybody to try. This could be fun, actually. If you want, don't do it if you don't want, or if it scares you. And you can do it when we're done here tonight, and then maybe comment on the Patreon page if you had any success with it. So sit in a room like I'm sitting here, have kind of quiet around you, and just sit comfortably, close your eyes, and envision your room. So kind of look at your room, close your eyes, picture your room in your head, right? And as you do that, start imagining these spirits just floating down and walking towards you. And as you do that, you can ask them to come in, and some of them will go away. And I like to think that that's the ones I'm imagining going away. And then some will stick. And those ones that will stick, for me, they always stay, they're backed off. So if I say, come and touch my hand, or hold my hand, or touch my shoulder, that's even better. Ask them to touch your shoulder, and see if in your mind, if they're coming towards you, and tell them to touch you, that you want to feel that sensation. And if you feel coming from inside out this electricity, intense tingling sensation, but it's not painful, it's not bad, that is spirit actually touching you. So I bet you if all of you tried it, that some of you would have success with it, or maybe you already have, like Crystal mentioned. So yeah, so that's a way to test that. Or I could sit here right now and ask spirit to touch one of you, which could be a cool experiment. If you want to try that, let me know in the comments and we'll see, like I did on the Queen Mary. Let's see. Have you seen a demon? That would be that question. Do you notice an increase in activity in your home after doing these sessions? That's a great question. They do form a bond to you. They always tell me, not always, but they've told me many times they trust me, and I tell them I trust them. They call me friend. And I once, according to them, had a family staying here, a husband, a wife, and a daughter. And that they stayed around for like 2 I'm feeling a spirit right now. Again, over here. And they were here for the longest time, and they like to stick around. So I do feel that they form a bond. As far as activity, the only activity I have here is through my devices. It's nothing like you see in the movies, at least for me. Nothing gets thrown around. We don't hear scratches on the walls. We don't, I'll hear voices, and Debbie will hear them, people talking in the house when nobody's there. We've had where we're laying in bed watching TV, and we're hearing voices come through the TV, both of us. So it's not me going crazy, because I'd look at her and be like, did you hear that? And she would be like freaked out, but so that's the kind of stuff we get audible. We don't get anything flying around or anything crazy or anything malevolent. Yeah, so there we go. Let's see. There's a lot of questions. I'm sorry if I'm missing any. What type of meditation do you use or do? I do my own. I put on like meditative music in this room, and I sit right here, and I will just let my mind go black. And as it goes black, I'll envision anything. What I usually like to envision is flying through space and actually flying with other spirits. And I do some weird stuff that I envision, but it works for me. And sometimes I'll envision visiting my father in heaven. Sometimes I'll envision family members. And sometimes I just kind of go blank and just kind of, sometimes I'll just fade off and actually fall asleep. And lately I've been using those glasses, those Casina glasses. And I do that maybe once a week. And those are very interesting. A couple times I've had some really interesting results, and a couple times not so much, but it's interesting. But meditation, I look up meditation music, and I have some tracks that I like to play. Thanks, John. Yeah, it's creepy. Large hooded figure. I mean, you know, a lot of people say there's all kinds of entities and creatures and all kinds of stuff because there's many dimensions. You know, I'm going by what some others have said uh, in the past, and that's kind of common belief. Like there's multiple dimensions, and who knows what's on some of these other dimensions? Like spirits could be on one dimension. You can have these hooded figures and shadow people on another. You just never know. It's really crazy. Gina, I saw a demon once that locked me and my sister in our room. It was taunting us. I've never had any experience like that, but that sounds frightening. That sounds frightening, especially at 9 and 11 years old. Man. Whew, sorry that happened. Okay, so you guys want to try that experiment. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's try this before I get to any more questions. So we'll try this. If there's any more questions, I'll answer them, and then we'll do a little bit of DR60 because we're already 40 minutes in. Time flies when we do these things. All right, so everybody who wants to try this experiment to see if you can feel spirit and see if I can send any to any of you. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. All right, everybody who wants to try this, kind of relax, close your eyes, and have your mind go black first. And then just envision your room, like I said, and envision spirits coming in, even if it's a loved one of yours. Envision them walking up to you. If you're in a chair, envision them walking up. So I'm going to ask here on my end. So now that you guys are prepared for this, any spirits who are here, and I feel you on both sides now, can you go to any of these wonderful people who are watching right now and part of this group and part of this research and supporting my work, and you, can any of you go touch any of them so they can feel your presence? You don't have to touch all of them. Do what you can if you can. And you don't have to, but if you can, that would be amazing. So if any of the spirits here can travel to any of these people who are wanting to participate in this experiment and touch them on the shoulder or touch them on the arm or on the back, can you do that and let them feel your presence? So you guys just kind of focus in on the spirits coming into you. Be open, don't be afraid. And let me know if you guys feel anything. Thank you, Kayleen. Is that how you say your name? Kayleen? Kayleen? Ah, my right arm. Awesome. Thank you, spirits, if you're helping out with this. That is amazing. So keep going. If anybody hasn't felt it yet, keep focusing on those spirits and the spirits who are here. If you can do that, let them feel what I feel when you touch me. Boop on your head. Yeah, so maybe in the future we can think of other experiments to try. Warm feeling all over. It can feel like that with tingles. So if you had tingles with it, maybe back of your neck, they like to touch back there on me all the time. I get a lot of it back here. Awesome. Awesome. So that was cool. That was fun to try. I'm feeling them all over me now. Like they're validating, like, yes, we did it. We did it. Let's do this. I'm going to ask if they did that. So let's see. I have the DR60 here. All right, spirits, I'm going to ask. Wow, they're strong right now on my back and arm. Did any of the spirits here go out and touch any of these wonderful people who are watching? Okay, let's see if we hear anything.
Did any of the spirits here go out and touch any of these wonderful people who are watching?
Ooh, there was a loud answer. What was that? Let's play that again.
Did any of the spirits here go out and touch any of these wonderful people who are watching?
I heard something. It sounded like Dave, but David's one of the spirits who comes here too. Did David go and touch anyone? Did David help out with this? Thank you if you did. You are very much appreciated. All right, let's see.
Did David go and touch anyone? Did David help out with this? Thank you if you did. You are very much appreciated.
No, I thought I heard a yes that time very quietly, though.
Did David go and touch anyone? Did David help out with this?
There's something there.
Thank you if you did. You are very much appreciated.
Wow, that was awesome, guys. So we got a couple little replies here. Everybody, not everybody, but some of you felt. That is awesome. I used an app the other night and it said, "What do you want?" And I shut it off, not knowing what it meant. Any ideas? Well, if they asked you what you want, they're asking you, what are you contacting them for? What do you want to know? Who are you trying to reach? I think that's what they meant. John, do you ever go back and check the first video to hear the mic's interference? I did hear that interference. Are you hearing it tonight when I record? Did you guys hear the static tonight? If not, I'm not doing anything different. I did go back and I heard that, but I couldn't make out those EVPs from last week. They were very low volume. But I think we have some energy here tonight for sure. I think there might be more people too. Awesome. Oh, good. Okay, so you didn't hear the static. That's great. All right, so anybody else have any other questions? That was a cool experiment, actually. I like doing that. Never thought about that before, but it was interesting to try. Let's see. I'm going to ask another question. Oh, here's the question. Stephanie, how have those glasses you got improved your connection? I don't know if it improved my connection. And my goal with those is to deepen my meditation. And if I can do that, that I think will improve the connection. What it is doing for me, though, is giving me some very lucid dreams. Twice while using them, I kind of went into this state where I felt like I was asleep, but I was aware that I wasn't, but yet I was dreaming. So when you become aware in a dream, that's a lucid dream. And I really don't ever have them I didn't have them until I started using these glasses. I mean, I've had them in life a little bit, but so that, I think if you set your intent when using anything, if you tell, if I tell myself, my goal is to have lucid dreams while using this device or for that to open that up to me, I think that's what's going to happen. Just like I think Crystal mentioned it the other day. If you're doing communication and you're in a negative mindset or have a little stress or just having a bummer day, you might get negative replies or negative spirit. But if you're in that really happy, positive, energetic, love mood, you're going to get those kind of messages. So that's also the spirits who say they use us as well as the devices. I think they might, if a spirit goes in me or you, maybe they feel that same emotion that we feel. It's hard to say. It's also confusing, right? But it's interesting. All right, let's see. Do cold chills mean spirits are around? No, well, it depends. If you walk into a cold room and you get the chills, I don't think it's spirits. If you're sick and you have the chills, I don't think it's spirits. But if you're sitting in a room that's the same temperature all day and you get a chill, it's different though. I've gotten chills. It's a little different. It's a different feeling, but that doesn't mean it's not. It just, this is my experience that, I'm talking about. I think, where's John? Used to ask if I ever wanted to ask you guys something. Yeah, I do actually. How many of you actually do or try your hand at this communication, whether it's with a radio or whatever, anything, recorders? How many of you here actually practice ITC or communication, whether it's apps, anything? I mean, I don't know if all of you guys do, if some of you guys do, if, it's interesting. It'd be interesting to know. And also, maybe we can have a discussion next time about what your guys' experiences are and what you have found, because it's a lot more than what my experience is. I just talk of my experience because that's all I know. But there are others who have their own unique experiences, and those are just as valid as mine. So it'd be cool, So yeah, I know, John, I know you do. I know you do this work, research. Candy, yep, I know you do. Spirit writing is very cool. I've never tried that, but I've always been fascinated with it. Blue Cat, you do spirit writing. That's awesome. I love that, like, what is it called? Automatic writing, or that's another name for it. I think I'm fascinated by that. Drawing and stuff like that, that's just blows my mind. Oh, you're in the ITC Collective. Probably some of you are. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Regular mediumship is easier. Yeah, you know what? I can understand that, because just in the last couple of months, I've been getting these things shown to me, and it just comes, and then you say it and you know it, right? Where working with devices, they can take technique and practice and all kinds of things to really hone in on it. So yeah, I can agree with that. Can we download SCD2? Ghost Hunter app sells that. I'm not affiliated with any company. I help them make some apps, and so they sell that at ghosthunteraapps.com, and they sell other apps. I help them make 3 or 4 apps. We are working on SCD3, and I say I'm not affiliated because I don't work for them. I don't earn money from them. I don't earn money on the apps. I'm just friends with the owner, online friends. I've met him once. He's a great guy, Anthony Sanchez. And I thought it was time for the SCD3 because I've had some ideas. So he's working on that right now. I sent him all the specs. So that should be coming in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I hope. Let's see. Oh, John, yeah, you got the Soul Speaker. I was going to ask you. I knew you had it by now because I checked the tracking, but I'm glad you got to use it. Sometimes that first, even sometimes I can sit in here with a box and go for 10 minutes and I'm like, I'm not getting anything. What happened? Did I lose my connection? And you start wondering what's going on. And then either I watch the video back and I'm like, oh, they were talking. I just didn't pick it up in real time. Or it took them a few minutes to start coming in. Sometimes I find it takes 5-10 minutes. But if it was your first time with the speaker, it took an hour and a half, I could understand that. Just make sure you record and play back, and experiment with the different, modes of the box. If it takes an hour and a half every time, that should definitely be cut down the more you use it. And the more you focus. Focus for me is actually hard sometimes. I'm sure it is for everybody because you always have everything going through your mind in your life, right? So it's hard to knock that out and just focus, but I'm getting better at that. So it takes practice. Hey, Nikisha. Yeah, that's awesome. I've realized that a lot of people have these gifts, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And you do whatever's easier for you. Nobody has to use apps and boxes. Use whatever is good for you, whether you're a medium and they come to you, whether you're writing or whatever. The best way is always your way, whatever works for you. Gina, I know how to do out-of-body experiences. Yeah, it's still something, I wanted to do it, and then I go back and be like, well, maybe I shouldn't mess with it, but then I'm curious about it. So I'm sure it's going to happen because the intent is there. And those glasses also maybe can help with that. I can see it that they could. So yeah. Yeah, the out of body stuff takes forever. I did it when I was a teenager, and it was a book, and it said guaranteed you'll have an out of body experience in 90 days. And the really weird thing was, on like day 89 or 90, I was laying in my parents' living room because I still lived with my parents at that time. Everybody was asleep. It's like 1 a.m. I was so relaxed, and next thing you know, I felt myself sit up, and I thought I sat up, and I look at my arm, and there was a blue electricity around it. I look back and I'm still laying down. I freak out, and then I really jump up, and that was as close as I ever got. And it scared me, and I threw the book away. But I was like, I don't know, I was 16, 17, 18. I don't know. I was a teenager. Awesome. You got the SCD2 today. Great. Any of these apps could take time to get used to as well. Candy, your goal is to get a Soul speaker. Yeah, they're pretty interesting. I mean, they can be amazing if you have, once you lock in that connection. And John, especially, the more you use it, this happened with Nick Groff too. When I sent him a Wonder Box, he got it and he was like, "How do I use it? How do I use it?" And I sent him an instructional video, and then he FaceTimed me, and I'm like, "Okay, do this, do this." And then he's like, "We're not getting anything with it." And I'm like, "Well, you gotta, I was trying to explain to him, it's not just turn on and they come through." So I kind of coached him through it. And then by the time I met him, he's like, "Oh my God, this thing is amazing." And the stuff they were getting with it, he was freaked out by a little bit, but it can take some time to really get used to the box and getting that connection with it. But once you get spirits who are regulars, they'll know how to use it instantly. So that will become quicker, John. And sometimes, John, you'll hear them talking to each other about you. So be on the lookout for that too. What recorder is good to start with that's cheap, Roger? Any recorder. Any recorder other than this will be about the same. I've actually tested around 40 recorders, vintage tape recorders, everything. And you can catch, EVP on any recorder. It's just harder to do if it's not this one. And it's horrible because this thing costs a fortune. And that's, I guess it is what it is, but this little thing that used to sell for $30 is now, $1,200, $1,300 and up. And it's a shame, but I've not tested any other recorder that is different from every other recorder besides this one. So any recorder, it doesn't have to be expensive. The one tip I will give somebody is if you get a decent recorder that has an output, like a headphone output, plug that output into if you have a video camera, you'd have to have some kind of video camera that has a mic input, just using a mini jack. Plug the output of your recorder into the input of your camcorder. And this somehow double amplifies internally and creates a little bit of noise. And that's much easier to get EVPs on. I used to use that. And while it's not the same as this, it's much better than a recorder on its own. Could we ask on EVP, how spirits see or view time? Is there a God for every dimension? I can ask, not going to guarantee we'll get an answer, but we can ask. Okay, spirits, somebody wants to ask, is there a God for every dimension? Okay, not sure if we got anything.
Okay, spirits, somebody wants to ask, is there a God for every dimension?
There's an answer there.
Okay, spirits, somebody wants to ask, is there a God for every dimension?
Not sure what they're saying. That's the thing. This recorder, half the time you might get a loud, undeniable answer, and half the time it's mumble and it's really hard to understand. But at the same time, 90% of the time or more, I'll get a reply of some kind. That's what makes this so unique. So it's been an hour. Let's go another 5 minutes. We'll go 5 minutes overtime. That's funny, John. Yeah. Awesome. SBX12 Spirit Box Pro. I've never heard of it. I do know Keith Weldon, who created Spiritus. He came out with a new app today. I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to download it tomorrow. But he mentioned it on his page and ITC Collective, and he makes good stuff. And he does them for Android and Apple devices. I forgot what it was called, though. Yeah, Steph, there's replies, almost every time with this recorder. If they're here, they'll talk. If they're not, or, then there's really nothing. But most of the time, Josh and I, the one I gave to the Chill Seekers, Keith, they're getting stuff now. So this recorder is definitely something. There's something to it. I wish we could recreate it and sell them for way less money. Any recommended tweaks to the SCD2 app? If you're using it with the Soul speaker, keep those the pitch and the reverb to 0. You won't need them. If you get them time when they lock in and it sounds like everything coming through or almost everything is spirit, turn off the reverb and just turn on that voice control and see if they keep going. That's when I get my clearest replies. LS Baker, ever run water in the kitchen or bath while recording? Yes, I did that a while ago. I was doing the water ITC in these bowls, so you can't see them here. And as I was taking the picture, I was like, can you show yourself? And I was video recording it. And when I played back the video, there were EVP answers, and I can tell they were using the noise from the water for that. So yeah, that's the thing. Many people have discovered that long before me, that running water helps with EVP. And it used to be white noise, and that's because spirits use that noise to manipulate. All right, everybody. Good night, everybody. I'm seeing all the good nights. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to do one more EVP before we close out. Can you see us? No, I can't see you guys. You can see me, but I can't see you. I could only see your chat, if that's what you're asking, Gina. Can you feel when someone is lying or when they're going to die? I can't feel when they're going to die. Well, I've never been around someone who is ready to die so quickly, but I can tell usually when someone is not a good person or their motives are not what they seem to be. I'm very good with that. And I have a unique gift, and I did it for Josh as well. In my lifetime, I've predicted over 400 babies, the sex of 400 babies. And I've only been wrong once, and it was with my own son. But when Josh was at the Bel Air house, him and his partner, they're pregnant. She's pregnant, and I said, she's gonna have a girl, by the way. And he's like, no, it's gonna be a boy. I said, I'm not wrong. I'm never wrong. And he called me up a few weeks later. He's like, it's a girl. You were right. So I can predict babies as well. I don't know why or how that happens. It's really weird. All right, let's do one more EVP, and then we'll close out. Okay, spirits, thank you for your help tonight. Thank you with that experiment. Is there anything you would like to say to anyone here before we close this out? Okay, here we go. Let's see if they...
Okay, spirits, thank you for your help tonight. Thank you with that experiment. Is there anything you would like to say to anyone here before we close this out? Okay, here we go.
There was something there.
Okay, spirits, thank you for your help tonight. Thank you with that experiment. Is there anything you would like to say to anyone here before we close this out? Okay, here we go.
I'd have to record that and play it back to try to figure it out. But good night, guys. Thank you so much for taking part in this. We'll do this in 2 more weeks. Group night is Wednesday, but I'll make a post on Monday with a video with full instructions for everybody who's new. And love to all. Love is the key. I will see you guys next time. Bye.